cartoons? You guys have Rocky and Buoy?
That we did.
Was that big up there? Or?
Not really. Canada, yes. Quebec, no.
No, well...
Wait, Canada and Quebec are two different places? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yes, they are.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
All right, why are Canada and Quebec two different places?
Are we getting on that?
Yeah, no, we're live. We're live. No. Put it on camera. No. These people, why are Canada and Quebec two different places?
Country.
I don't think it was ever translated to French either, which means that most kids in Quebec wouldn't understand half of what was going on.
In Rocky and Buoy.
Yep.
Well, that's pretty much the same as it was in America. It's Moose and Squadron. Hey, everybody. Welcome to, what show is this? Star Citizen Live, the Montreal Protocol. I'm your host, Jared Huckabee. And if you're curious what the Montreal Protocol is, it's basically when I walk in on a Monday and I discover 6 fine visitors from our partner studio in Montreal, like, you're going to be on the show on Friday. And that's exactly how it happened. Like, you were literally, you walked around the corner and, like, how long were you in the office before I said, you're on the show on Friday?
We just got in, I think.
We just got in the first day. We just came in the studio to say hi to people. We're there, and we were there. Just say, hey, next Friday we're going to
like 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
You were in the studio for 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Well, because I didn't know you guys were coming, so I came in on Monday and I
Walked by your
corner.
desk, I guess.
Yeah, I was like, there's a bunch of French Canadians here. It's like, so, I wasn't expecting it.
That was actually Tuesday because Monday we were jet lagged. We arrived pretty late, so that was, yeah. But we were fresh as a rose.
Yeah, it's true. It was a Tuesday because we arrived on a Monday and...
Yeah, it was Tuesday when I got to you guys, but I got to Nick on Monday.
Yeah,
I
came
got
to say hi
Nick
to
and
you
Fred on
and
Monday.
people, yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, I don't waste any time.
This guy.
Hey, there's always another Friday, as we say, behind the scenes. So welcome to Star Citizen Live. This is the show where we take about an hour out of the end of our week and we hang out with our developers. And if you hadn't figured it out from our stellar intro this week, this week's guests are members from the Turbulent Games team in Montreal. We've got Max. Say hi, Max.
Hello.
Hi, Max. We got Annie.
Hi.
Hi. We got Nicholas.
Bonjour.
And we got Rainer.
Hello, everybody.
I was wondering what they left for you by the time they got to you. So let's just start right off the bat. I said this isn't one of those ones where we had plans and a big agenda or anything. We're just going to free flow this.
Free falling.
Yeah, we are. What are you doing here?
Actually, we came to visit the studio, to meet the team, shake some hands, and
Have some meetings.
Fix some stuff.
Drink a lot of drinks as well. But that's just a side thing, Our real gig is working. Very professional.
It's a real good first impression there, Annie. Just as people are seeing you and hearing from you for the first time and like, we're drinking so much. We are video game developers after all.
This is work trips, man.
Yep. Now obviously, you guys have been working with CIG and on Star Citizen for over a year now and everything. What's the virtue of these trips? What can be done in person that can't just be done over 7,000th Zoom call?
It's 2 full years for most of us now, so.
That's
true.
Been that long?
Yeah.
2.5.
I'm about to hit my 8 year. That's why I was like, oh. All right, so 2 years. So same question while I think about how long the time is escaping us.
I mean, there's a lot of things that don't really transpire via Zoom, and I think there's a real value in sitting down face to face with someone. Like, something that you can do from 5,000 kilometers across an ocean. Team bonding and just, I don't know, it's just this vibe of getting shit done when you're, right in front of someone.
That's your one.
I know, it's gone now.
Literally before the show started, was it you who asked, like, can we swear?
No, it was him.
No, it was Rainer. Rainer's like, can we swear on the show? And I'm like, you're allowed 1 per show. And
mine is gone.
Yeah, so check Annie's box. Hers is gone. Now, there's the 4 of you, but who else was in your party? Who's not making it here with us today?
Jason
Tongs. Jason.
Left this morning.
And Fred Dupéry, who's our lead concept artist.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Fred is literally back in the office right now, still working with his team. I asked him just before we got started, I'm like, "Hey, you want to come over?" And he's like, "I can't. I gotta maximize the time that I'm here," which says a lot about the four of you.
Thank you.
So let's just go around the room a little bit, talk about who we are and what you do. Nick, I'm going to start with you. You are recently transcended. You were recently you have a new role at Turbulent Games. Tell the folks, who are you? What do you do?
Nicolas Pinchot. Actually, I'm the new assistant art director in studio in Montreal. And so actually my role will be to, how I can say that, to just
Oversee.
oversee. Thanks, Max. My English is, my job will be to oversee all the mandate we're going to work on in Montreal.
And additionally, to be Ian's trusty sidekick on the Montreal side of things. Ian is a very busy man, so we need someone closer to us, at least in the same time zone, to give us some feedback every once in a while.
What's it? So you're a new assistant art director, associate art director, assistant art director in the Montreal studio, working very closely with Ian.
Because Ian right now has a lot on his shoulders, so he needs assistance to be able to. C'est quoi? Pas divulguer, mais tu sais, quand on passe le travail, when you
Delegate.
delegate.
Yeah.
He needs to delegate some stuff, so that's why we have assistant art director now.
Right. So what's it like working with Ian? This is a safe space. You can be honest.
Ian is awesome. He's a nice guy. He's super cool, super chill.
Agreed.
It's super fun to work with him.
We're not even being coerced into this. Like, he's genuinely a nice guy.
And it's such talented guy. He's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
As this move, because you were a lead artist before.
Yeah.
Has this move into being an assistant art director, has this been a natural progression? Has this been an easy transition? Do your responsibilities change much? I imagine it's less creating art.
I won't doing more hard than before, but yeah, I think it was natural. It was the next step. It's practically the same thing, but 10,000 bigger. Instead to have just one small team, I have all the teams.
All the same job, but with more pressure.
More pressure. More pressure is the key word.
A lot more pressure. So we'll just continue clockwise here. Max, folks might remember you from the CitizenCon presentation on Lorville 2.0.
Yep.
But in case they didn't watch it, tell them who you are, what you do.
Yeah. Maxime Guédon, so lead environment artist. I worked on the Marriott Pure of Art before, like the hospital mandates, New Babbage, and now the Lorville 2.0.
We won't get too far into it. We actually just filmed a segment for ISC about the progress on Lorville 2.0 and everything. That'll air after the holiday break. But without getting too far into it, how's Lorville going?
It's going great for like a city that's a little bit, how should I say, a little bit dark place. But yeah, it's like the city is huge, so and it's a big mandate, I would say.
How much bigger is it now already than what's currently in the PU?
It's nearly twice, like just a little bit under twice as big in terms of like the distance from the center of the city to the outskirts.
Gotcha. And a big part of the reason for that expansion is to add a bunch of new buildings and new locations so we can add more gameplay
Exactly.
to the landing zones and stuff. And again, we'll be talking about that in ISC in the new year. Annie, who are you? What do you do? And why do you swear so much?
Because it's fun. Well, my name is Annie. I'm a producer at Turbulent Games, and these fine gentlemen are under my umbrella, so I take care of concept art, level art, and QA. And in the new year, we're kind of restructuring the team in Montreal to really have mandate-driven teams. So instead of making a distinction between level art and level design, lighting, we're just going to have teams. So I'm going to be in charge of all locations that come out of Montreal.
Okay.
It's like our mama.
I am the mama. This is why I swear. See?
Right. And so when you talk about mandate-driven teams, you're talking about kind of like how our sandbox teams are here.
Yes.
With a level designer and artists and technical designers and QA and
Yes.
everybody that you kind of need. So that the entire pipeline can be done within one team. Without
Exactly.
having to hand off.
And mostly also so that it's all under the same umbrella and we don't have miscommunication. Everyone has the same visibility on everything, like from start to finish, upstream and downstream. I've been trying very hard since I started at Turbulent to bring more of the downstream teams with us. So they're usually at the end of the waterfall, right? So if anything goes wrong at first, they're usually the ones paying the price. And we're trying to kind of mitigate that to get them into processes much earlier so that we can plan better and their life is made easier.
I can hear the audio guys crying right now.
Kim, the audio producer, is a very good friend. So we've been having good conversations.
Yeah, it's always tough, and for folks who, whether this is your first SCL or whatnot, downstream teams are basically, there's a collection, basically not everything can be worked on at the same time, is the simplest way to put it. And so there are teams that have to wait for other teams to do their work first, and those teams have to wait for other teams, and those teams have to wait for other teams. That's the waterfall approach. But there's always somebody at the end, and unfortunately, audio is very often one of the last teams that gets to touch
Audio, VFX, and more than anyone else, I think QA. Dean, the assistant QA manager, is also a good friend, and honestly, they're really at the bottom of that waterfall. So everything that trickles down on them, it's just them wiping it up. So we're really trying to make their lives easier because nobody would ship games if QA wasn't a part of these teams. Mm-hmm. So we need to cherish them and pat them on the back and be very nice to them.
That's one of the things I really like about this place, and we're off on a tangent, but who cares? It's Friday. One of the things I really like about our organization is we have the dedicated QA teams. Like we have our 9th floor here that's almost entirely QA folks like this, but we also have the embedded QAs, the people that are there right alongside the designers and the artists and everything, and seeing what they see every single day. And they can lean over like, hey, look at this. They can lean right over and see somebody's screen immediately and be like, no, you want to do this, and you want to do this, you want to do this, and stuff like this. It's one of the nice things about CIG that I really appreciate, because I've worked at other studios where, to put it nicely, QA has been locked in another building altogether. And their key cards don't even access the key cards of the building where the developers are.
So have I. I started my career in QA. I was a QA for longer than I've been a producer, basically. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I've seen all of this. They're at the bottom of the food chain, and they've been treated horribly. And if you retire like that, that department, nobody would ship games, ever.
I won't name the studio. But
there are so many, man.
I once went to a Christmas party where they literally had QA and game masters in a kenneled, walled-off section of imagine a big giant kind of convention floor area. It was a big company, and they had a walled-off section where they stuck the QA and the game masters and people, and they had their own private little party over there while they saw everybody else.
That's terrible. And did you hear about that other company that shall not be named that cut the entire QA department from their credits because the song wasn't long enough? The credit song wasn't long enough to accommodate.
Shame on them too.
No, I hadn't heard that. I hadn't heard that story. That sounds like that. Definitely, it's not difficult to believe. All right.
Sorry for that, Tan.
Let's see who I've upset in the chat. Rainer, while I look for my Teams messages, why don't you tell folks who you are and what you do?
So my name's Rainer. I'm one of the lead environment artists at Turbulent Games.
A new one.
Yeah, one of the new ones.
Newly. Congratulations.
Lead. Thank you. The other one would be Jason, who had to leave this morning. We were previously, both of us, we were the 2 senior level artists. We both worked together at Turbulent, so we worked on the Ghost Hollow mission, the Reclaimer crash site, the space clinics, and before that I was on the Brentworth Hospital with Maxime.
And Rainer and I have been working together for quite some time.
3 productions now.
Yeah.
So I previously, before that, at ADOS on Guardians of the Galaxy and the Avengers. So,
You don't need to talk.
And as we work on Batman.
yeah, I
Yep.
met
I
Nick
worked with her
at
on
WB
On Batman.
on Batman Arkham Origins. So yeah, it's fun with in the team. Well, we do have juniors, but a lot of the seniors we know each other from here and there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, the video game industry is a very the word that's in my head is incestuous.
It is.
It's my very first day here, well, in LA. I walked in and we had a guy, Darian Borlick, for old Star Citizens, who regularly goes, "You used to work at, whatever." I'm like, "Yeah," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I remember you," and I'm like, "I don't remember you. I'm sorry, I'm a jerk."
But imagine how incestuous it is in Montreal, where a new studio pops up every 5 seconds. It's pretty intense.
And
Man.
despite the number
Shout
of
out to Paul
studios, we still get to know, after a certain amount of years in the industry in Montreal, you still get to know, there's always 1 or 2 people in every studio because it moves around a lot. After productions, people tend to switch.
It just shuffles.
Yeah.
It just basically shuffles every couple years.
Looking at the live chat. And folks, this is a more free-form show than normal. If you have questions for our guests, feel free to throw them in the chat. Remember that they are on the Turbulent locations team and stuff like that. So if you're asking about a spaceship or a salvage or something, this won't be the team for it. Freelancer Alpha says, "Jared, just go. God, 10 years on, what has he done? Just chat nonsense?"
Jesus, man.
Hold on, you guys do the show. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna go work on cargo. just gonna go. All right, so we talked a little bit about art director, and well, let's touch on this a bit more. We've done a lot of segments about concept artists and designers. I think we've never actually told the story of what an art director does. So walk me through. I know there's no typical day in game, but what are an art director's responsibilities?
The thing is, Ian is a art director. Me as assistants, actually, I'm just helping all the team to stay in the track, because we have concepts to create our environment. So it's kind of, I'm not going to decide, okay, today we're going to do this or do that, because all that has already been decided. So it's just giving support and just be sure that people stay focused on the mandate and where we're going.
And it's seeing the high level, right? Because you have your leads under you who can take care of your team. So Nick is there to do the very high level stuff with me, where we can see things coming in advance.
Next mandate.
Yes, exactly.
And I'm still giving support. I'm still working in the editor. I'm not just high level and just talking and doing meetings.
I'm still assigning bugs to you, so.
Yeah, it's true. Fixing bugs and stuff.
Yeah, you channel the information and it trickles down from Ian to Nick and then to us, the leads, and then to our teams.
I think you guys know more my data.
That is not an uncommon phenomenon. It's not an uncommon phenomenon. One of the we'll go from Nick to you, Annie. Another one of the positions that we don't get to explore very often in our behind the scenes material is a producer, and a producer is an especially difficult one because for as many years I've been in this industry, no 2 producers are alike. And I'm not talking about the people who are doing the job. I mean the job. It's producer can mean a wildly different thing in different studios. It can mean a wildly different thing between different teams. So talk to me about your role as a producer and what your job entails.
That's true. It's super abstract because, and it can change on a dime as well. But I think the way I see my job is to make these guys' lives easier by organizing the workload. If my leads and my assistant art director are focused on oh my God, we need to make tasks. What are we doing this sprint? How? much time is it going to take? We have a problem. Who's going to fix it? Who do we need to talk to? If they're busy doing that, they can't focus on their work. So basically my job is to make sure that they stay focused, and I run along to find solutions and to find answers to their questions. Also keeping in mind that I need to be, you know, the contact point between all of those downstream teams we were just talking about, and make sure the planning works, and make sure that we, you know, deal with curveballs when they arrive, and basically
Because we know there's some.
sometimes. I will not confirm or deny what you just said.
Let's talk about some of those. What are some of the curveballs that come to the team that a producer would have to go and find solutions for?
I mean, you know, in life and at work, there is miscommunication every once in a while. So you can plan all you want, especially in the video game industry. You could plan ahead as much as you want, and you would still hit some road bumps, basically. So we will sometimes plan for a certain mandate, and then the scope will change because we will have new ideas. We will develop new technology. Patches will get pushed back for one reason or another, and we need to adapt to that. So we need to be able to be reactive and keep a cool head when that happens.
I'm Diab, I'm going to see if I can say that right, says, what are the minimum requirements for joining QA? And also, any chance of adding a studio in California? We have a studio in California. I worked there the last 7 years. It's still there. But let's talk about the QA thing. What are the requirements for joining QA? QA is the starting point for so many people. We have lead producers who start as QA. We have directors who have started as QA. It's a wonderful entry point for almost any path in game development.
It is. I would go as far as saying it is the best entry point. The best producers, it looks like I'm patting myself on the back here, but the best producers I've known in this industry came from QA. Just because it's so versatile. Like, you have your hands everywhere. You have such a, top vision of a project when you work in QA. It's pretty similar. Like, when I made the transition to production, it wasn't that big of a jump, just because I had visibility on the entirety of the project, how it was going, when the patches were coming out, how many bugs were there, what states the map were in. So, and to answer the question of minimum requirements, I just hired a dev QA embedded on my team who has 0 experience, but the guy has a good background and he looks hungry to learn. And sometimes it's even better to get people with no experience because, you don't have
to untrain them. You don't have to get rid of bad
Exactly.
habits.
It's a blank slate. They didn't catch any bad habit yet from other places. So sometimes it's a blessing in disguise.
And I guess the will to learn is a huge point. That, like, when we hire juniors, when we filter, when we go through the filtering, and the interviews, sometimes it's the will, like they're showing them showing the willingness to learn.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big factor, I find, for selection.
The most important. Sure.
Yeah.
I like an inexperienced person with potential 1,000,000 times more than an old wolf who doesn't
Because there's less
really
baggage
want to prove himself
and bad habits.
and is over it. Yeah, because there are a lot of those too. So.
People that show passion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still have good old wolf who still want the
Oh,
work
there's a
and
ton
have,
of
still
that
have this
too.
fire inside.
I'm not,
All of us?
generalization, but
Armature01 says, asking as a junior project manager, how granular do you define tasks and how do you estimate how long each will take?
that's experience, man. Like, it's really hard. Like, the amount of time a task will take is just when you've been on a project for a while and you know your people and you know how fast they work.
Yeah, depended how much you have on the team.
It's not one size fits all, not at all. And granular, again, it depends on your team. Like, my art team is very autonomous, and I don't need to go into too much detail to keep them focused. But like other teams will function in a way where they'll hammer out like 10 tasks a week. So you need to be more granular with them. But it really depends on the discipline you're managing. Like not knowing which project you're managing, it's hard to answer, but it really depends on your team. Get to know your team and their strong points and their weaknesses, and that's really what helps.
Chat with this name says, "Can I have your RSI laptop?" No, it's just a sticker. It's just a sticker on a little case that I got from Wish. See, it comes off. It's not fancy. It's just a regular laptop with the fancy thing. So Rainier, what are you working on right now?
I'm working on the derelict habs. Will be like, well, not like habitation pods or even maybe garages or little like workshops built from ship pieces. So that's something that we'll be bringing into the following releases. Something to dress up with the crash sites. So we saw one of the early ones in the Ghost Hollow mission. That was one of the first habs that we made, and we're just adding more of like
creating this library of
yeah.
Yeah, we're
So,
creating all the puzzle pieces to just be able to pick and choose then which one we want to spread around the verse. So
And it's cool. There's all sorts of different functions to these habs, like workshops or maybe just sun barriers or shelters. Cover, yeah.
they look great. You guys are going to love it.
Yeah, we'll have those. You'll see those on the first. I think it's the first ISC back after the new year. We'll have a segment on the new derelict cabs and the big asset library zoo. I always like to call them a zoo, but I guess that we're creating. It's like this. How come none of you are wearing SC clothing merch? That's
We were
really
on other days.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah,
you
we had our
Turbulent Games
shirts.
Yeah, Turbulent
Yeah.
Game shirt. I saw somebody's Turbulent Game shirt, and I was like, I want a Turbulent Game
Yeah.
shirt.
They're
And
actually really nice.
give us a break. We're at the end of a work trip. Like laundry is scarce.
Yeah, we're wearing some of our last shirts.
I still have one.
Yeah,
shirt.
for the plane.
How many times did you flip your underwear?
Every day. No, I changed underwear. Not flip.
The views and opinions of Annie do not represent those of Cloudaprim Games, Robert Space Industries, Turbulent Games, or its subsidiaries.
That wasn't a swear.
All right. I knew it was going to be one of these shows when I started. Yeah, they're all talking about Laundry Day. Yes, line. Is it live? No. This was pre-recorded, and we thought this was the best possible version of the show to put forth.
With a swear count up to 1 so far.
Don't make it a challenge.
I just want to say bonjour les gens turbulents qui nous regardent en ce moment.
Allô les amis.
Salut tout le monde.
I just say hi to our team in Montreal.
No, do that for a while. Talk to the team in Montreal in French. Go ahead. I won't know what you're saying.
J'espère que vous êtes en train de regarder parce que sinon,
Producer. Voilà.
gonna get you.
Sinon, vous allez avoir plus de Gira.
Oh, oui. That's actually a good threat. I like it.
Sorry, guys.
All right. With that, we are going to take a short break. And when we come back, we'll have more with the Turbulent Games team here. They'll just be in different chairs. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Do you hunger for the challenge? Pitted against nature, you will need discipline, determination, and the courage to never give up. Looks like you need a beer mate.
Cosmonaut is the premier online magazine for Star Citizen, packed full of ship reviews, outfitting guides, upcoming events, org interviews, current affairs, history, and more. Cosmonaut is your comprehensive guide to all aspects of life among the stars. Our talented team of writers, editors, designers, photographers, and artists are all passionate pilots and aim to bring you stellar images, incisive articles, and incredible design. Season 1 of Cosmonaut is available for download now. Head to www.cosmonautmagazine.com to get all 12 issues completely free.
There has to be at least one place where people can get away from me. As far as I recognize that, there's the Star Citizen experience, and then all around the Star Citizen, there's me. And like to your point, it's like I don't want to be in the game. There needs to be some place in Star Citizen where people are like, I can get away from Jared, and I can get away from Jared by going in the verse.
I think we will do HABs, your HABs. Derelict HABs.
This is my hab.
Yeah, maybe we can create a derelict version of your HABs.
A derelict version.
Please don't sign us up for more work.
Just thinking.
And like, you're not in the game, but there could be a post-it that said, Jared was here.
Was here with.
We actually already have that. There's a this is humorous considering I've been sick for about a month now. There is a bottle of Cloud CT Lando Fever syrup that's been in the game. It was actually created by Behavior back when they were working with us in 2014, 2015, things like that. So that's actually been in the game for a couple of years. That actually predates my employment here. So I had that asset in the game, and that's as far into the game as I ever need to be. I'm content to being the impenetrable fog that surrounds it. People should be able to jump in game and escape. So welcome back. To Star Citizen Live, we have members from the Turbulent Games team here, our Montreal team. These guys, for instance, these guys and gals are focused primarily on locations. The new upcoming Lorville 2.0, the derelicts that have been vastly improved and making their way throughout the Stanton system. To that end, our next question from the chat comes from Cradle Robin. I didn't say that out loud, but hadn't said that out loud before I read it. Are there going to be more of the derelict locations added to Stanton, or is it mainly Pyro that the work is going into?
Right now, we're thinking about making more on Stanton because Pyro is not really ready yet to create too much stuff on it. So yeah, I will say that, but eventually we're going to have a lot of them.
Pyro. It should.
Right now?
Yeah.
Well,
not
eventually.
No, not right now, but
Eventually.
soon. Yeah. For the next year, will be more Stanton, but eventually will be everywhere.
I mean, I can give you the scoop that we're starting to look at that in Q1.
Yeah. No, with the use of the Rastar tool and everything, its development, it's basically Stanton is the testing bed for that tool and using that. And they're placing down the outposts and stuff now. The new upcoming outpost with it, and then it will of course be used for Stanton or for Pyro when that time comes.
And to go with one of your questions, why we were here, actually meeting the guys working with Rastar, that was one of the reasons why we came, is to get some training on it and to see how it works live, because sometimes training is a bit easier, doing this in person rather than over Zoom or Teams.
Right.
Yeah.
So at this point, I'm going to have to do what's called a little station keeping here, because chat is glomming onto your comment about Pyro and how you're not working on Pyro right now.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do some station here. For folks who maybe don't follow the entire breadth of Star Citizen's development, Pyro can't be added to the Precision universe until server meshing is in. Server meshing needs prerequisites like persistent entity streaming coming in 3.18, and these things all take several months and months to do. Stanton's not finished. I saw somebody say Stanton is finished, and I think Stanton's not finished. We're still building Stanton. We're still building Pyro. We're still building Nyx, stuff like this. But it's not a thing where you just. It goes akin to what John Cruz said. John Cruz said had a line in our IAE All Ships Super Talk Spectacular from a couple weeks ago that was also taken out of context. Where actually it wasn't John Cruz, it was Ben Curtis, where they talked about where's the best place to put your work and your effort right now. And it is, the question comes if you can work right now to put something in the game right now, that's a better use than if you can work to put something in the game 6 months from now, because you can work next month to put the thing in 6 months from now. So game development is a constant series of priority shiftings and adjustments, and that I'm sure I'm not revealing any secrets to anybody who talks about Star Citizen and who shares in the content creation of Star Citizen. They will know that the priorities change and shift dramatically during the course of development. So, but it always prioritizes what can be done now and what can be done next and stuff like that. So as we move closer to the time where it's like, okay, now the underlying systems are in place and we can actually put Pyro into the persistent universe, that's where the ramp up on that stuff goes. That's why when you looked at, we had presentations with Pyro during DCC, he talked about how Pyro is basically like 80% complete. They bring the planets to that 80% and then they stop, they pause, because there's no need to finish it off now when the technology will continue to grow and continue to evolve. When it's ready to go in, that's when they will finish it off and polish it up with the technology and the tools and the procedures that are available to us then. So yeah, I don't think I'm telling anybody anything that isn't already out there or isn't already known. It's just, that's how game development works. That and elevators will always kill you. Those two things are like the eternal truths of game development. So, Crown 8 says, what items do you want to work on in the future that you're building assets for now? Well, if they're building assets for now, they'd be working on it now. So let's change the question to what do you want to work on in the future? Just if you had your pick, we just talked about shifting priorities. If you got to set a priority, and I'm just asking you to talk about it personally, what would you want to work on?
I could start.
Yeah?
Yeah, the building interiors. So in the future, I'm going to develop the building interiors, and I'm very much interested in developing like the procedural level building, basically.
Okay. And then building interiors are not just to be able to walk inside a building and just have more stuff to look at. You mean building interiors so that we can do mission content and gameplay content and stuff like that inside? Yeah. Okay. Who wants to go next?
Okay. And me would be the opposite, doing exteriors, since I've been doing a lot of interiors since I've started. Well, besides Ghost Hollow, but working. I don't know if I can say what I'll be working on, jumping on.
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
nothing you guys are working on is secret right now.
Okay. So I'll be jumping onto the UGFs, the underground facilities, and the Montreal team is going to start with the first zone, the surface parts. So working directly on the planet and making a big compound.
That's another thing that we came here for. We wanted to meet with John Griffith and company so that we could get like a solid kickoff and hit the ground running in Q1.
Yeah, since they'll be working on the UGF as well, but in different zones. So we'll be working as a team, but each Montreal will be working on the surface, and Manchester will be working in one of the floors, and then we'll switch and dig.
And that's the thing you want to be working on that you're not already working on.
Yeah.
Actually, our next mandate are so awesome that it's
We always pick what we want to work on.
exactly.
Yeah.
I try to make sure that everyone goes on to something that they're passionate about. So yeah, we've hammered this out in the past couple months, and we've distributed our teams on mandates that would motivate them.
The building there was going to be crazy. All those buildings over there, maybe not all, but a lot of them will have content in it.
We'll have some industrial and
Industrial,
some residential,
residential, commercial, rooftops, say maybe sewer.
Yeah,
All this
rundown.
building will be able to connect each
Holdings.
other, so we're going to add so much gameplay on
And
those.
holding cells, I think, like prisons for.
Yeah. I think.
Eventually, we're all looking at that. We're seeing what works, what doesn't, and we'll hammer out the proof of concept for this, and then we'll be doing a bunch of those.
Making a world more world.
That's such
Adding world to
producer
world.
talk, what you're doing right now.
That's good poesy. Poesy?
Poetry.
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 Canada777 says, Pyro is basically done, bruh. They explained this. Pyro is sitting around waiting for server missions. That's like the opposite of what I just said. It's like the polar opposite of what I just said. And how about you?
For me?
You get to have a vote.
Well, I'm really, really excited about the mandates that they just talked about. And we're going to have a lot more in the next year. I think you guys are aware that Montreal is ramping up the team. So we're going to take on more and more super exciting mandates. But sadly, I can't talk about all of them. So it'll be for next time I'm over. I can tell you guys about it.
So I was about to.
I was going to add something. With the UGFs, I think one thing that's going to be different, because all the other mandates we had were very local, like everything was made in Montreal. So for the UGF, that's going to be one mandate where we're really going to work with the Manchester team.
More
So,
collaboration.
yeah, a lot more
Yes.
collaboration. So it feels like we're becoming more and more part of the family, which is cool.
Yeah,
It's,
true.
it's one of the initiative of coming over here, to meet those teams.
There's a follow-up to your questions. Will locations you are working on be modular, where they can be generated almost procedurally and changing gameplay angles?
Yes.
That's all
so-
what
yeah, that's
UGF is, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not only
And the
UGF,
building
but like
interiors as
building
well.
interiors would have some procedural elements. Those additional like derelict locations that we were talking about will be, with Rastar, we're going to take like those pieces that we built in the past few quarters and we're going to spread them somewhat procedurally. So yeah, pretty much everything we'll be working on in the next year follows that pattern.
And the early test that we did with the space clinics, we made them in modules, and the level designers used those modules to build. So we built like one initial space clinic as a target, and then the tech level designers used that to create a recipe to populate all the other space clinics in the space station. So.
And some rules, basically, right?
Yeah.
So that every piece would actually fit together.
Yeah.
And that we never procedurally put two things that don't quite fit.
Yeah.
So.
And just so that we don't leave them out, that question came from My Meat Stick.
Hi, my
That's an
meat stick.
excellent name.
What does it mean?
I don't know.
Oh, you pure little boy.
Cancel 1395 says, is the derelict village turbulent designed first and was shown off for them as the announcement still being worked on? I think you're talking about the Javelin. You're talking about the big Javelin crash, the kind of proof of concept, one of the earliest things you worked on. This comes up every time we have something that remotely touches turbulent. People are like, is that still on?
No, that thing was more.
It was an onboarding test.
It was an onboarding test. It was just for us to just get used to the tools, get used to the pipeline, and just try to learn how the CIG work. Yeah.
Because I think it's maybe the only studio in Montreal that uses CryEngine. So for us, it was getting into CryEngine and learning it. So
So no plans to put that in there.
no.
Next
Anyways, the things that we've done or better, I think.
Next question, why do you hate the backers?
We don't.
I don't hate them.
I don't think.
Why doesn't this go in? Why not do it? Isn't it done? Is John
would have to
Horvath,
do
isn't
it
it just
because
done?
Yeah, we would
It's-
have to redo it from scratch
Yeah.
almost, and
It's kind of
The
like there was-
technology has already moved forward quite a bit since we touched that, but we can take that idea and put it in our back pocket and think about it in a while. But yeah, it would need some massive rework.
Because it was more of a proof of concept, and like Max said, it would probably have to be redone.
it,
in a
it worked
proper
with some camera angles, but as soon as like the whole location or in terms of missions, it wasn't really thought that
It's
way.
like a movie set. It was
You can just look one side, but not the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you push too hard, it's gonna.
yeah. It was cool though.
It looked great, but yeah, that's what it was. It was something to sink our teeth in when we arrived.
No, that was actually my introduction to Pierre-Luc at the time, because I had put it on and then I got this message from somebody. It's like, where did you get that? I was like, I do what I want, as long as they allow me. Habanero sauce. Oh, it scrolled. Says, how much does story or lore affect your work? How much story is there in the stuff that you create? Do you just make stuff and then you send it to the narrative team and like make it make sense, or do you actually take stuff from narrative or feedback from narrative and apply it as you're creating?
I think we bring in the narrative team, like we show them where we're at. I talk about like for Lowville Skyline in particular, we just like show them like where we're at, like in terms of placeholder and then in terms of branding, and like telling them that like this is the size of the city, like this is the different areas that we have, and we need like a little bit of variation into that. Then they go to work with that, and they bring their ideas too, and it's just like a synergy with
Yeah,
narrative.
it's a healthy mix of both, I think. We get the concept from the concept artist, and then we work something out, and then we try to involve narrative as early as possible in the process, so that they can have a first look and wrap their head around what we're trying to do, and then they always come up with the most wonderful ideas. So yeah, we try to meld everything together, but yeah.
But sometimes the ideas come from us. We have idea about crash, why those crash happens, and we can just send our ideas to the narrative, and they can just accept it and say, oh yeah, we can do that.
And we're doing little derelict habs to full derelict spacecraft. We're now doing derelict spacecraft in space. Has the name, I scrolled by and I lost the name, I'm sorry. But any discussions about derelict space stations? Just going one bigger, an entire broken down, run down space station. Not like ruin station, which is still in operation. It's just, but like a old and empty derelict space station. Or maybe even a crashed space station.
Yeah,
They've been
we've seen some
discussed.
concepts.
discussed,
We're
discussed.
talking about it. I don't remember the name. Is the what's the name of the big star system? I don't remember.
Standing?
No, it's the big.
Tara?
Port Olisar?
Port Olisar.
Port Olisar.
Yeah, sorry. Thank you. We were
Crash
talking about maybe we're going to crash Port Olisar on the planet somewhere eventually.
But for now, I
Could be
don't
nice.
think I don't think this is a mandate that's going to be on us. And if it is, it won't be for now.
But that could make a nice silhouette.
Yeah.
Go to my camera, Tom. This is where I have to remind people that talking is talking. We discuss a lot of things. It's just like concepts and whatnot. We will explore many ideas. That is not, please. Like I already see the people. I already see the one running to Reddit right now. Nicholas said they're going to crash Port Olisar on a planet.
No, I said we thought about maybe we could crash Port Olisar on the planet.
We've had lots of discussions over the years about what we can do with Port Olisar. And, we've even talked about them, here on this show and on other things. It's like I think there's a definitive intention to end Port Olisar's life at some point. How we're going to do it and in what manner is still being discussed.
Yeah, it could still be years away.
Oh, it requires some planning, guys.
Because it's if that's in the surface of a planet, it's a huge undertaking. And
well, no matter what we do end up doing with Port Olisar, it's going to need careful planning. So
Yeah, because it's going to be unique, so take a lot of times, a lot of people.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah, I don't even know necessarily what we have against it, other than it's really old and really resource intensive because it was made with the procedures and knowledge that we had in 2015, and it's like we desperately want to replace it and improve it, put something better that's more performative, that serves more needs and stuff like that. So
it'd be a poetic way to end it, like turning the page on an old relic and kind of giving a story to the Star Citizen. Yeah.
A proper send-off. So dramatic.
Siege of Port Orisar, or Port Olisar, Port Orisar. I'm tired and I'm sick, folks. I'm tired. I'm trying. Let's see, what else? What do you, Max, what do you want to talk about?
Not for anything.
Port Orisar confirmed, yeah. Sorry, folks. I got a major thing like a month ago, and I'm still working my way through it. So apologize. Today is a fuzzy head day. Yeah, serial killer is like, why do you hate PO? Have you used our PO system? It's terrible. Something for our producers. So I don't know when we're just about out of time anyway. I don't know when the next time we're going to have a group of folks over. I've never been to Montreal. I've never been to Turbulent Studio. It's the only studio I haven't visited.
You should come in February.
You should come visit. Oh, no, don't do that.
February 23rd.
That's terrible advice.
But I know some people will be there in January. The Villazang will be there in January.
Really?
Oh, they'll be here.
Here,
You mean
yeah.
they'll be here? And yes.
Yeah.
So you'll get to meet a couple of our design folks, character art folks as well. There was like a little round of people who got promoted into new titles. You'll get to see them in January. And then Nick and I should visit more often as well. So we'll be back.
So what I was getting to then is since I don't know when the next time you guys are going to be back, is there any final things, any last things you want the Star Citizen community to know about your jobs, the studio, your work? You've literally got an array of cameras here. Talk. What do you want to say to them? What do you want to say to them?
Well, I can say just I don't know. I work in the industry since a while now, and working on Star Citizen, it's one of my best experience yet. So it's super nice, super cool, super awesome, and I think we will work super hard to just give to everyone the best game ever.
Yeah.
It's the most rewarding project, and we're a very cohesive group, and it's really fun.
The team rules, and also not swearing for a full hour was very hard.
I don't always succeed myself. All right, so that's it. This has been Star Citizen Live, the Montreal Protocol. Thanks for hanging out with us. Sorry I was a bit discombobulated. I'm doing the best I can. I hopped up on a whole lot of medication. If you haven't already, check out this week's Inside Star Citizen. It has a nice look at members of the Tools team and their work helping build stability and making sure the wheels of game dev continue to churn. And then, of course, the Polaris concept model internal layout rework that was finally showcased. It's our best look yet at the interior layout of the Polaris, the big honkin' torpedo ship that could. And then come on back next week. Next week's going to be an interesting one. ISC is changing format to be a Journey to 4.0 special. if you saw our CitizenCon presentations this year, many of them were themed about a special Journey to 4.0 presentations. We have another one and several more coming throughout the next months into 2023. And the first of the new rash of Journey to 4.0 features is coming next Thursday, where ISC is. So you can check that out. It's about audio concepts for the Pyro system and trying to create a new and alien soundscape for an entirely new star system. So you can check that out. And then we'll be right back here next Friday on Star Citizen Live. We finally rescheduled the vehicle feature team for our Master Modes conversation. So we're going to have Richard Towler and Yogi Klatt on to talk about Master Modes, which were first introduced at DCC. And then I hear there might be some specialist, a second guest, but I don't want to commit to it just yet. So yeah, for Nick and Rainer and Annie and Max, I'm Jared. Thanks for hanging out with us, and we'll see you next week, everybody. Take care.
Goodbye, folks.
Goodbye.
Bye.